The announcement of a new VGC regulation is one of the most exciting things to hear as a competitive Pokémon fan. This is because new Pokémon are made legal, which means new toys to play with and potentially an entire shift in the metagame. From Reg A to J, Scarlet and Violet's VGC regulations have added or subtracted a new set of legal Pokémon every time, and in the coming weeks before the latter officially starts, there's always talks about which Mons people think will do well in the meta. Sometimes people are right, and sometimes people are quite wrong. So in this video, let's take a look at the best Pokemon in theory because they sound really good and have a lot of things going for them, but in practice, they performed quite poorly in the Gen 9 VGC meta and weren't nearly as good as people thought. First, we have Iron Boulder. Iron Boulder was one of the new Paradox Pokemon introduced in the DLC, and it has great stats. When people found out about its signature move Mighty Cleave, there were talks about just how broken it would be when it would be made legal in Reg F. It's funny because the fact that it's a 100% accurate Rock-type move is unironically just as impactful as the fact that it hits through Protect. With how potent Urshifu has been in literally every single format that it's been legal, another Pokemon that hits through Protect seems super scary. Since Iron Boulder is the future Paradox form of Terrakion, a fighting type, it learns good fighting moves like Sacred Sword and Close Combat, giving it some great extra coverage. In reality, Iron Boulder never really took off for a few reasons. What makes Urshifu hitting through Protect so broken is that it hits through Protect with all of its contact moves, not just one signature move like Iron Boulder. You can feel reasonably comfortable protecting against an Iron Boulder if you resist Rock, since it's probably not going to hit you with Mighty Cleave in that case. You can never feel comfortable protecting against Urshifu, since the combo of Water Fighting or Dark Fighting hits every monotype for at least neutral, except for Fairy, which resists both Dark and Fighting. It also doesn't just hit through Protect, it hits through Protect and always crits, which allows Urshifu to ignore much more defensive counterplay than Iron Boulder. Iron Boulder also has an awful typing, Rock Psychic, which doesn't have any 4x weaknesses, but it has 7 regular weaknesses. This means that just about 99% of teams will have at least one move that hits Iron Boulder for super effective, giving it terrible matchups. Ursaluna has the ground weakness covered, Urshifu has the water weakness covered, Rillaboom has grass, Goldengo has steel, and so on. It has no way of dealing with Intimidate, Fake Out, Will-O-Wisp, or Spore, and while it might have high speed, it's not quite at the level of Fluttermane and Calyrex Shadow, mons that would be able to outspeed it and knock it out in one hit pretty much every time. As good as its stats are, and as good as its signature move is, its terrible typing and inability to deal with the most common threats in the meta makes Iron Boulder look more like Iron Pebble. Next, we have Enamorus. Enamorus was introduced in Legends Arceus, and it was made legal in Reg D after Pokemon Home connectivity was made for Scarlet and Violet. As a fairy type that's part of the group of the Forces of Nature, a legendary group whose members have all been quite good in VGC, people had high hopes for Enamorus. Like the other three, it has 2 forms, each with their own distinct stats and abilities. Enamorus Incarnate has stats very similar to Tornadus and Thundurus, with Enamorus having slightly higher special attack, but slightly lower HP and speed. It has Contrary, which can be an incredible ability, but Enamorus only gets one move to take advantage of it, Superpower. Superpower is not only physical, so it uses Enamorus's lower attacking stat, but it's fighting type, so it's not even stab. Speaking of stab, it does have the consistent Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam, but its signature move, Springtide Storm, was made to be the only one of the quartet with 5 PP that doesn't have perfect accuracy in the rain. It doesn't learn a single special attacking flying type move, not like any of them are good anyway, but it would at least be nice to have been given the option. The main issue with Enamorus Incarnate in VGC is that it's directly competing with Fluttermane, another fairy type with the same special attack but 29 higher speed and a better secondary type since it actually gets stabbed with Shadow Ball. Fairy Ghost also has fewer weaknesses and the very useful normal immunity for getting around Fake Out. In its Therian form, it's a bulky Trick Room sweeper, but it doesn't actually learn Trick Room itself, so it has to rely on an ally to set the field condition for it. Overcoat is good, as it's essentially a built-in safety goggles which blocks things like Spore, but this form is directly competing with Hatterene, a slower fairy type that does learn Trick Room, and like Fluttermane, it actually has Stab for its secondary type. Sure, Psychic isn't great offensively, but Expanding Force is just so good, and the one type that's immune to Psychic, Dark, Hatterene hits for super effective with Stab Dazzling Gleam. Hatterene's Magic Bounce also protects it from Spore and every other status move in the game, giving Enamorus some pretty stiff competition. Next, we have Overqwil. Like Enamorus, Overqwil is another Pokemon introduced in Legends Arceus that was made legal in Reg D after the Pokemon Home update. It's an evolution to a regional variant of Qwilfish, and it has the Dark Poison typing, a fantastic defensive pairing. Dark Poison is one of 5 dual typings in the game with only one weakness, and one of 3 dual typings where that one weakness is only a 2x weakness. Overqwil keeps all of Qwilfish's abilities, which is good because it has pretty good options of Poison Point, Swift Swim, and Intimidate. It has a signature move, Barb Barrage, which has a 50% chance to poison and will double in power if the target is poisoned. Unfortunately, Overqwil just comes up short in a few too many areas for it to really stand out against the competition. When it comes to the abilities that can inflict a status condition upon contact, they're much more useful when used in conjunction with Redirection, something that Volcarona, Magmar, and Electabuzz can offer. As a Swift Swim sweeper, it's not water type, so it doesn't get water stab, unlike almost every single other Swift Swim user in the game, and therefore can't really abuse the effects of rain nearly as much as something like Barraskewda or Basculegion. As a dark type with Intimidate, well, you know exactly who that would be competing with. Overqwil's stats just aren't doing it any favors, as its special defense would really need to be higher to be considered a good defensive Mon, and its attack and speed would really have to be higher to be considered a good offensive Mon. I had decent success making Overqwil work as a Swift Swim support Mon to Kyogre in Reg I with a moveset of Icy Wind, Acid Spray, Throat Chop, and Aqua Jet with the Assault Vest, but the over-reliance on rain limited its role too much for it to be consistent in the Weather Wars of Reg I, especially since it has no way of dealing with Fake Out, so the team's speed control isn't guaranteed. If rain was ever overridden or Kyogre was knocked out early, Overqwil was essentially dead weight. Next, we have Regieleki. This is the third and final Pokemon on this list that was made legal in Scarlet and Violet Reg D via the Pokemon Home update. In Sword and Shield where Regieleki was introduced, it was consistently one of the most used Pokemon in the meta. Its speed was literally unmatched, making it great for spamming Electroweb as speed control, which takes effect immediately due to speed changes now being dynamic in Gen 8. With it now having access to Terastallization, it actually has coverage with Terra Blast, which now patches up its main weakness of its terrible move pool. However, Gen 9 also introduced quite a few challenges to Regieleki, which is what contributed to its hard fall off. First, its signature ability Transistor was nerfed so that the electric type damage boost is only 30% instead of 50%. Fluttermane was introduced, and it can pretty much do Regieleki's job but better, since it can increase its speed with Photosynthesis to be even faster than Regieleki, and can use Icy Wind instead of Electroweb, which doesn't have any type or ability immunities. Sure, Regieleki could still be faster with a Choice Scarf, but locking yourself into an electric move that can be walled by ground types that's also a spread move that can be walled by Wide Guard is not ideal, an issue that Fluttermane doesn't have since Photosynthesis won't lock it into one move. Priority spam is more common, with Extreme Speed Dragonite now having access to Terastallization and Chen Pao to immediately boost its damage output, which will always go before any of Regieleki's non-priority moves and knock it out in one hit due to its bad defenses. Terra Ice Terra Blast is great coverage for Electric, but it also means that you have to be Ice type, the worst defensive type in the game, opening you up to multiple relevant weaknesses as opposed to Electric that just has one. Raging Bolt and Miraidon were introduced, which are much better special attacking Electric types, and while they may not be as fast as Regieleki, Raging Bolt's bulk and priority stab, and Miraidon's everything make them far superior special attacking Electric types, so you'd pick one of them over Regieleki pretty much every time. Next, we have Tinkaton. Tinkaton was introduced in Scarlet and Violet, and it is a fairy steel type, what most would consider to be the best dual typing in the game. It has the signature move Gigaton Hammer, which is one of the most broken moves of all time. It has 160 power, 100% accuracy, and simply can't be selected consecutively, a very minor drawback for its high power and accuracy. It has Knock Off, the most broken common move in the game, and Fake Out, one of the best moves in doubles. Its ability Mold Breaker allows its Fake Out to bypass priority blockers like Farigiraf's Armor Tail, or its Thunder Wave to bypass Goldengo's Good as Gold and Garganacl's Purifying Salt. And it's had less than 1% usage in every single VGC regulation in Scarlet and Violet. The main reason for this is its low attack stat of 75, which makes its signature move more balanced, but it also makes all of its other moves way worse. Sure, it can set up with Swords Dance, but if you're looking for a setup Steel-type sweeper, there are better options like King Gambit and Goldengo. King Gambit has stab priority with Sucker Punch, and Goldengo has stab spread damage with Make It Rain, two things that Tinkaton severely lacks. It has good special defense and decent HP, but with a defense stat of only 77 and weaknesses to ground and fire, it doesn't fare very well against mons like Ursaluna and Incineroar. Speaking of Incineroar, it's pretty much better than Tinkaton in every way as a support mon with both Fake Out and Knock Off. Tinkaton has had pretty good success in singles, but with a different role since 6v6 singles is a lot different from 4v4 doubles. It likes to set hazards with Stealth Rock, and it can get away with using the Air Balloon to temporarily get rid of its ground weakness, an item that is twice as likely to pop in doubles, with 2 times as many opponents potentially attacking you. But overall in doubles, it's competing with Incineroar as a Fake Out mon, and competing with Goldengo and King Gambit as setup steel types, and it will most definitely lose those contests. Lastly, we have Duraludon, specifically Eviolite Duraludon. When Archaludon was introduced in the DLC, people's minds immediately went to theorizing about how good Eviolite Duraludon would be. After all, this would make Duraludon have the highest base stat total of any not fully evolved Pokemon at 535, so the fact that it now gets to use an item that boosts both of its defenses by 50% seems pretty scary. It's already quite solid as is, with its high special attack and the Steel Dragon typing, a great defensive typing just like Tinkaton's Steel Fairy. What's even scarier is that Archaludon is better than Eviolite Duraludon in every single way. Most people were probably expecting Archaludon to have maybe a 550 base stat total, but no, it has a 600 base stat total despite not even being a pseudo-legendary. Or maybe it is. Argue about it in the comments for the 4th time. Either way, the stat buff isn't the main reason why Archaludon is so much better, it's the different abilities and signature move. Duraludon gets Light Metal, Heavy Metal, and Stalwart, pretty bad options. Light Metal and Heavy Metal might as well be considered useless with how few moves are affected by weight. Stalwart allows the user to ignore redirection, which is good, but this kind of effect sounds like something that an item would do, or that an ability would do as a secondary effect. Kinda like how Keen Eye is terrible on its own, but Mind's Eye having the effect of Keen Eye in addition to its primary effect is just a nice bonus. Archaludon keeps Stalwart, but Light Metal and Heavy Metal are replaced with Stamina and Sturdy, 2 great ability options. Stamina is especially good, since it basically gives you the defense boost that Duraludon gets from Eviolite, and Assault Vest can easily give Archaludon the special defense boost that Duraludon gets from the Eviolite. Electro Shot is Archaludon's busted signature move, since it has 130 base power, 100% accuracy, raises special attack by 1 stage on the first turn, and fires on the second, with the effect that it fires immediately in rain, making it great on rain teams. And those are some of the best Pokemon in theory, and why they actually weren't that good in practice. Let me know if you disagree with any of my reasonings, or feel that I missed any. Anyway, if you want to support me and my channel, just leave a nice comment since I do read all comments. You can also become a member for 99 US cents a month to get a badge next to your name and early video access like all of these lovely people. If you want bonus content, check out my second channel, Extra Bell, where I post videos I've scrapped from the main channel, as well as more casual, unscripted videos. Likes are also one of the ways that YouTube determines if a video should be passed around to more people, so if you feel that this video deserves to be, I would appreciate it. Thanks for watching.